Hey you guys, it's Bria, and today I'm going to be talking about when tourists go to other countries and find themselves getting into trouble. And in particular, I'm going to be talking about a group of tourists that got themselves in trouble in the country of Cambodia. The reason why I got so interested in this case is because I was able to visit Cambodia about 6 months ago, and I heard about this story so much while I was there. There's a really big expat community in Cambodia, and in particular Siem Reap, where this situation occurred for these tourists. It's incredibly cheap to live in Cambodia. You can get an apartment with like a kitchen and one bedroom with a shared pool for about $200 a month. So it's very ideal for a lot of young people to want to go to Cambodia and spend some time over there, which is exactly what this group of tourists decided to do. They were expats living in Cambodia. So before we get into the story, I just want to say the main reason and purpose as to why I'm telling this story is because I want to encourage people who are planning to travel to other countries to do your research. Research what the laws are, the customs of that country, how are you expected to dress? And this goes for both males and females. I've been traveling around Southeast Asia for the last year, and a lot of times people assume it's just the women that need to cover up, and in reality a lot of these countries it's both the men and women that dress very conservatively. A lot of places in Southeast Asia are Buddhist or Hindu, and if you do go visit these amazing temples that are around Southeast Asia, it's important to note that these are very sacred places, and there's a certain set of rules that you need to follow when you're going to these sacred places, right? So for example, there's actually a group of tourists that were in Cambodia that went to one of the Buddhist temples, and they were kissing and just not behaving well. They were being disrespectful, and the Cambodian police saw them and they actually kicked them out of the country. They deported them immediately, and they're actually very lucky that they didn't end up going to jail. They're lucky they got deported back to their country because it could have been a lot worse for them. It's amazing how many stories I continue to hear of tourists going abroad and getting themselves in trouble because they didn't understand the differences in the law. So with that, let's get into the story of these tourists who got in a lot of trouble in Cambodia and ended up going to jail. So this group of tourists were expats living in Cambodia, so they were working. I know a handful of them were teaching English, and this group of expats decided that they wanted to throw a party, and they had thrown parties before in the past, but they wanted to throw a party at a villa. They wanted to rent a villa, and they wanted it to be a big party, and they're really excited about it. And that seems innocent enough, right? Partying is not illegal in Cambodia. But the thing was, is they called this party the Let's Get Wet party. And it was a pool party, so they'd be getting wet, but that is quite the sexual innuendo. But they were rolling with it. They thought it was funny and they liked it. And this party was allegedly planned by around 10 expats, but the main party planner was named Daniel Jones. So the plan was to rent a private Airbnb or a private villa to throw this party. They wanted to, rent a nice villa big enough to accommodate a bunch of people. So it wasn't like throwing a party in the public or anything. They were in the privacy of their own rented home. So they were actually charging for these parties. They were charging an admission cover into the parties. And the police actually caught wind of this, and especially got caught wind to the Let's Get Wet parties. Daniel Jones and his friends were actually advertising for the Let's Get Wet party. They were putting posters and flyers up around town, and they even created a Facebook page called Let's Get Wet. So word on the street is that the police wanted in on some of this money, and this isn't reported on that they asked for money, but it was definitely a lot of the local people are telling me that the police wanted a portion of the money from these parties. Otherwise, they were not allowed to have parties anymore. And it was later reported that the police warned them to stop having the parties, that this party was inappropriate and against Cambodian law. The Let's Get Wet sexual innuendo was seen as disrespectful to Cambodian culture and illegal, and so they were warned to not throw this party. So it does not surprise me that the police was trying to tell the expats that they're going to have to pay the police off, because that is something that is very common in Cambodia. The police are involved in a lot of corruption, and it's not difficult to find that out. Just a few days after I'd gone to Cambodia, we had gone to Pub Street, you know, gone out to some of those bars and stuff, and we noticed that like the bartenders at some of the places were selling weed and like drugs and stuff. And so we were kind of wondering, and I asked some of the friends that we had made, like, what's up with that? How are they getting away with that? And they're like, oh, the restaurant owners are paying the police off, so they're able to continue to sell their drugs. So allegedly, Daniel Jones and his friends did not take this seriously. They didn't take the cops seriously, and they decided to move forward with their party. So let's jump to the Let's Get Wet pool party. So there are over 70 people at this pool party at this private villa, and suddenly over 30 Cambodian police officers surround the villa and basically raid the party. They immediately began their investigation, and I say that lightly, but they discovered evidence that there was pornographic dancing taking place at this party. So I'm assuming they were kind of like lurking around before they decided to do the raid, and they saw people dancing at the party. So now you have over 70 people in Cambodian jail, and all of the partygoers, you know, explained that there was no sexual acts happening in the party, and there was no nudity happening at the party either. And I tend to believe them. I highly doubt that these people threw a party to like organize a big orgy or produce pornography. I have a feeling they like literally were just, they wanted to party.
What was going on at this party that you're at?
There was literally just a swimming pool. There was a barbecue, and there were just people drinking beers. You know, there was nothing at all that I would have thought would have caused the police to come and raid.
When I attended the party, I was not taking part in any pornographic dancing or anything that the media suggests I was doing, and I'm very disappointed in the way I was represented.
I definitely feel for them, especially if you were just going to a party, like on vacation. A lot of these people are just on vacation and heard about a fun party, and they went and had a couple beers, and now they're sitting in Cambodian jail with pornography charges. So the police discovered more photo evidence, and they put up these photos on like a Cambodian police website, claiming that these pictures were from the party. And these pictures appear to show tourists in sexually explicit positions, but it's important to mention that they are fully clothed in these pornographic explicit images. These photos that they actually had put up on the Cambodian police website were not even from that party. They were from 3 years ago. They were taken off of Facebook from 3 years ago, and it wasn't, that party that they took the pictures from didn't even take place in Cambodia. It had taken place in a completely different country. But the thing is that some of these photos were being used to promote the party, and these photos were deemed as pornographic. And so that's what was the case that the Cambodian police had, was that the images that they were using to promote the party were pornographic. So yeah, so now we have 77 foreigners who are arrested with pornography charges in Cambodia. And Daniel Jones is now realizing how much shit he's in, because he was sort of the main party planner. So eventually the police slowly start letting people go, especially just the tourists that were there for the party that weren't involved in the planning of the party, but not until they do an educational seminar with these people. And it was an educational session on Cambodian law, and when they felt that the people understood Cambodian law and were educated, then they let some of the partygoers off the hook, but the main party planners were still in jail. In fact, Siem Reap's governor, So Platong, is quoted saying, "I would invite every bar and club in Siem Reap to a session where the traditions and customs of Cambodia would be explained, and any venue that flouted them would be shut down." So if you disagree, you get shut down. So it dwindled down to 10 people left in jail, and they were being charged as the main party planners. So 10 people total. There was 5 men from Britain, 2 women from Canada, 1 man from Norway, 1 man from the Netherlands, and 1 man from New Zealand. The men's heads were all shaven. They were forced to have their heads shaved. Thank God they didn't make the girls shave their heads, but it's still very sad that they made the boys do that. I think that's like, you know, a control and power thing, and I'm sure it was very frustrating for a lot of the boys who felt that they had not done anything wrong to be forced to shave their head. I think that would be a very sad situation, obviously. But at this point, it doesn't matter if they're innocent, honestly. It doesn't matter if they're innocent or guilty, because they are now in the hands of the Cambodian police. And according to a lot of my local Cambodian friends that I have, once you're in jail, it's not that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. It's a different way. It's a different justice system. And once you find yourself in jail, it's hard to get out. And Tom Jeffries, who is one of the British men that was jailed, he is quoted saying that he was vomiting out of how much fear he was in, and that the jail had a small hole in the ground for everyone to use the bathroom.
Tell us a little bit more about what it was like when you were arrested, because you and along with the other 9 were detained in a rather notorious prison. You had to shave your head, for example. What was the experience like?
I mean, it was horrendous. It was scary. I mean, to begin with, we didn't know how far it was going to go. The actual prison, we were in a cell about 5 meters by 4 meters with 25 other prisoners. You know, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I think the worst thing was just trying to prepare yourself, because it could have been, as you say, it could have been up to a year. And it was horrendous, but we considered that the best thing to do was just prepare ourselves for the worst. I think the most important thing to remember, though, is that there is still someone out there. Dan, he's a very good friend of mine, and he is still, unfortunately, going through everything at this time.
And yeah, he's referring to his friend Daniel Jones, fellow British friend who's still in jail, along with 2 other people still. So we have Daniel Jones and 1 man from Norway and 1 man from the Netherlands that are still in jail. And this Tom Jeffries, like, he doesn't even know how he was let out. Like, everything was very confusing. And I mean, can you imagine knowing that your friend is still in jail, especially knowing how horrible the conditions in the Cambodian jail are?
At what point were you told that you were going to be able to return home?
I was told literally just after I got out of the prison, maybe the next day.
Yeah, so he honestly doesn't even know why or how he was released.
It was terrifying. I think main reason it was so scary was because we obviously didn't speak the native language, so we were often very confused about what was happening. I'm very happy to be home. I'm grateful to be in Canada. I look forward to seeing my family and my parents, who have done absolutely everything they could to bring me home.
Some of them were let out on bail, and they didn't even have access to their passports, so they weren't sure if they were going to have to like stay in Cambodia or if they were going to get to go home. But eventually they were given their passports back, and they were told that they needed to leave the country immediately, which I'm sure they all would have done that anyways. Why the fuck would they want to stay in Cambodia at this point? But anyway, so yeah, they were let out on bail, and they allegedly paid close to $40,000 collectively for their bail. Now, that's a lot of money to pay, especially if some of them like really didn't do anything wrong at all. And especially for Cambodia, $40,000 goes a very, very long way in Cambodia. The corruption runs very deep in Cambodia, so I'm not at all surprised that they had to pay so much money. In fact, I believe that this whole situation was motivated by money. So now we are down to 3 people, Daniel Jones and the man from Norway and the man from Netherlands. And so they start trial, and eventually the man from Norway and the man from the Netherlands are let go. And we're continuing the trial now with just Daniel Jones. He is the last person left here in jail, and he's already been in jail for almost 2 months, and the trial will continue. A lot of people might be asking, why didn't they contact the embassy? And I believe they did contact the embassy as soon as they could. But something to remember, I think a lot of people have this misconstrued idea that the embassy can come and kind of like swoop you up and save you if something like this happens. And the reality of the situation is, yes, they will try to help you, but they are limited on what they can do. And I actually learned that a big portion of the US Embassy that is located in Cambodia was recently fired. Like, the majority of them were let go for, guess what? Pornography charges. Okay, so down to now just Daniel Jones. He's already been in jail for almost 2 months, and the trial is continuing. He is being accused of breaking indecency laws in Cambodia and promoting a pool party using pornographic images, which is also illegal in Cambodia. In court, Jones and his defense explained that the pictures that were used were not even taken by him, and that they weren't even taken in the country of Cambodia. So unfortunately for Jones, prosecutors successfully argued that any pornographic images that are used to promote an event are illegal in Cambodia and are against Cambodian culture. So they found Daniel Jones guilty. So this is obviously heartbreaking news for Daniel Jones and his family. Like, at this point, he has had very limited contact with his family, and I believe that the embassy was kind of the embassy and his defense team were sort of the main communication between everyone. And, you know, all his friends are back in Britain scared shitless about what's happening to him because they know how shitty it is in this jail, and all they want is for their friend to be let go. So what's kind of weird though, and what is not explained at all in any of the articles, is that the Cambodian police suspended the remaining 10 months of Jones's sentence. So he had already served 2 months. He was found guilty, but the 10-month remainder of his sentence they suspended and said he didn't have to continue, which is so weird. And I'm assuming there was a large chunk of money involved. Like, to me, there would have had to be a deal that was made to allow him to go home free. And it does not at all surprise me that the Cambodian government found him guilty. I think it had nothing to do with protecting the Cambodian culture and everything to do with money. If the sole purpose was to prove that, you know, these indecent acts were made against their sacred culture, then I don't get why they would let him off early for his sentence. So I definitely believe that there must have been money involved, but like I said, that's all alleged. They did not talk about that part of the situation at all, and Daniel Jones has not done very many interviews on this. Yeah, he hasn't talked about it much, and I'm assuming that he is traumatized from this experience. So I am very glad that he is safe now and back home. So I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this whole case, the whole situation. Do you think that Daniel Jones and his friends deserved what happened to them? Do you think that they should have been let off easier, or do you think that he should have had to finish his entire sentence? I personally understand that what they did was wrong, but I do just hate that all of this seemed to be motivated more by money than the Cambodian culture. I think there are parts of the story that were definitely left out to the public, everything that had to do with money, basically. And I guess Daniel Jones and his defense team and his family are the only ones that have that information. But I am happy that he is home safe. It sounds like the situation was absolutely horrible, so I am glad that everyone is home free. And again, I think that we can all take this as a learning experience. And please follow me on Instagram, you guys, because I'm just a lonely girl in Bali with no friends. So let me know what you thought of this case. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!